Hey, everybody, and welcome to another session. Um, we have the InSpec team here again for another office hour session. Exciting, exciting, exciting. Thank you all for joining me again. Happy to hear about the new happenings of the InSpec product and to get some of the community questions answered. Big up yourselves for joining. First, let's get through some pre-flight checks. If you don't follow us on Twitter, what are you doing? You should definitely follow us on Twitter at Chef. You'll learn about new releases, new planned outages, all of our Chef's social stuff. You'll be seeing a lot of things about Chef Comp that are coming up. So definitely follow us on Twitter at Chef. And speaking of Chef Conf, if you want to be in the loop about updates that are coming down the pipeline for Chef Comp, that's going to happen in person in 2 locations this year. We're going to do in September. September, yes, we're going to be in Seattle. And in October, we're going to be in Munich, Germany. So that's pretty cool. Definitely jot down that link and visit it, and then you can sign up for updates. Also, if you would like to be in the room where it happens, definitely join our community Slack. That's where you'll be able to find the engineers for the teams, or our products owners for the teams. You'll be able to ask technical questions. You'll have access to the entire community of helpful, smart folks. And you get to put questions in the chat that we're going to answer in these office hour sessions. So definitely join that. Community.chef.io is where the community all the community things are posted. So you'll get links to invitations for community chat there, or community Slack there. You'll see our community content calendar, so you'll be able to add invitations for sessions like these for all the teams. And you'll just see what's happening in the community. And finally, check out our discourse. It's more of a forum style. It's like Stack Overflow for us. We also have release notes and things that go out whenever new products or whenever our products are released. So definitely check us out there as well. Awesome. So without further ado, let's get into our content. Clinton from the InSpec team is going to drive. Tell us a little bit more about what's going on in InSpec this month.
Sure thing. I think the biggest news, of course, is that we had a release last month. On May 18th, we released InSpec 522.3. And details of that real quick. Let's see here. Let me brief pause here while I share my screen.
Sure thing.
And
okay, I'm adding you here.
Okay. Is my screen visible?
Yep.
Okay, great. Yeah, the big things we had to fix for a dependent profile load issue that was causing a problem with a couple of Red Hat profiles, and we also a community member had provided a NFT tables resource, so we included that as well. And we've a big change is that we now bundle a train Kubernetes driver with InSpec. So it's great for anybody who's using the Kubernetes resources. Greatly simplifies the installation process for the Kubernetes experience. All right, moving on. InSpec 6 release will be later this summer. The big feature is InSpec Parallel, allows you to run InSpec against a list of targets in parallel. Time allowing, we'll have a demo of that later this session. Other surprises in store in InSpec 6. Here's a quick snapshot of what's going on in content and with remediation and audit content. If you have any content requests, please reach out to Lokesh. He's on the call here. Want to say hi, Lokesh?
Hello everyone. Yeah. So these are the content we have released in the last month, and these are the upcoming content. Yeah. For any content request, please reach out to me.
Great. All right. So with all that said, let's move on into the Q&A session.
Awesome. We've got some really, really good community questions. Definitely keep them coming, folks. So let me share my screen real quick. And thank you for those updates. Looking forward to getting some feedback about those releases. So let's see. Okay. So Jay Blaine on Slack. Can you all see my screen? Let me make sure that I am.
Yes.
Okay. Let me see if I can. Okay, that's probably better. Jay Blaine on Slack asks, so she says, I'm InSpec. I can't English today. InSpec inputs noob here, struggling with the inputs of the type array, and it's not clear what I'm doing wrong. So here are her inputs or their inputs. I'm sure. This is the return type, which you may be able to see better if I can.
So we will be looking at that stuff in detail when we answer the question.
Okay, and she says, if I change executable files that input value to a single item instead of two, everything works fine. But there's an exception with just a single item, apparently. Yeah. So let's get into that. What do you think could be going on here, Clinton?
Well, I'm actually going to throw it to Sonu. Sonu, do you want me to just throw it to you at this point, or do you want me to start digging into this?
You could start digging.
I'll start digging in. Okay. All right. So this is interesting stuff here. So what happens here is this does just work if you do it at the command line. So I started looking into this, and I said, so gosh, what's going on here? We took this example, and we took this and we put it into the command line, and we took this. We took the left-hand part here, which looks like this looks like part of an InSpec metadata file, is what this looked like. There was no context given as to where this was. This looks like YAML format code in the left-hand side here. This appears to be YAML code, so perhaps this came from an InSpec metadata file, was the assumption. So I put this in an InSpec metadata file and generated a profile that looked similar to the InSpec code on the right-hand side, and it just worked. So that was a surprise right away. I didn't get the same result as the user. So the user was saying that it didn't work. So it worked at the command line, but then I looked more closely at their error, and it says TK-rel8, which means that they were running this under Test Kitchen. So this was a clue that this actually came out of a Test Kitchen file, which means that they were actually using the wrong syntax, because you don't use the same syntax in a Test Kitchen file. So that was a tiny clue that they were using this out of a test kitchen file. So that eventually led us down the right clue that you have to use a slightly different syntax in a test kitchen file, and that will make it work under a test kitchen file. Sonu, shall I throw to you at this point?
Yep. I
Okay.
could go and share screen here. Yep. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, it's visible, but can you like increase the zoom? Yes, perfect.
There we go.
So here I have initially, so as Clinton mentioned, I went ahead and straight put the input into the inspect metadata, and it was working fine. And then later, after since it was getting executed under the context of test kitchen, I went ahead and tried the similar syntax in the kitchen YAML, and it started failing. And yep, I was able to get the issue. The issue being the syntax follows what is followed in kitchen ML is slightly different. If you go to the README and I'll quickly search your inputs. Yep, and if you see here, the input is provided as a hash, as in the format of key value. So we went ahead and changed the syntax from
So can we go back and linger on that point for a moment?
yeah.
It's provided as key value, as name of the input, value of the input, which is different than the metadata format. And unfortunately, this was established 7 years ago, according to the commit, which was a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are people out there that have code that is at least that old that relies on that. So because of that, if you use that format, it will work. And so that's what we found. Yeah.
Okay. So it's just a simple syntax thing that, if you don't know, you don't know. So thank you for going ahead and answering that question. Hopefully that gets you started in the right direction, Jay Blaine. If you've got any follow-up questions, hopefully you are one of the few folks that are tuning in right now. If you got any follow-up questions, hit us up.
Yeah.
So next we've got a question from Federico Sinisi on Slack. Federico says, "Hey folks, I'm really new to Chef and also InSpec. I want to start scanning my infrastructure on GCP and I'm looking to run this benchmark. I run it, but on the output, I received this message. Is this okay?" And let's go and zoom in better to this message here. Okay, what do you say, Clinton?
All right. Well, so this is another newcomer, and this is a conceptual issue here. So Samir's going to take point on this one here in a second, but I'll talk a little bit to the conceptual issue here. But the basic notion here is that this user wants to use our GCP tools, and they found InSpec GCP. And InSpec GCP is what we call a resource pack, which is a set of resources, a set of tools you can use to query Google, to query the Google Cloud platform. But it's not a set of benchmarks itself. It's not a profile itself. It's not a set of questions. It doesn't say this will get you to a certain standard. This doesn't say this will get you to a certain security stance. This doesn't say my compute instances are in a certain security setting, or my firewalls are configured in a certain way. It doesn't say anything like that. It just allows you to ask the questions, but it doesn't provide the questions themselves. You need a profile or a benchmark to actually do that. So Samir has created a sample profile.
Okay. I will stop sharing my screen so you can share yours, Samir.
Yeah. Thank you, Clinton. I'll just share my screen. Just give me a minute. Okay. Okay. Uh, is it visible?
Yes, but can you zoom in just a little bit? 'Cause-
Yeah. Yeah.
actually, this
I,
appears to.
I, I think it's
It's zoomed in as much as it can be. That's
yeah, it's
fine. When
zooming
I'm
quite a
on
bit.
full screen, it looks fine. It's just when I've
Okay.
got everything
Yeah.
else pulled up. It's
Okay then.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's I have created a sample profile, and it's kind of straightforward if you follow the documentation. So yeah, there is a sample profile. If you see this GCP profile, I have kept some controls over here. This is compute instance, singular and plural resources, and regions, both singular and plural resources. Before doing all of that, we get this documentation with this profile while we generate it. And if we follow this, it asks us to go for a particular link to for GCP credential, which is the crucial part. If you configure it properly, you are ready to go. So I'll just go through it once quickly. Yeah, here. Yes. So basically, you need to install those SDKs and all. Their links are provided. Basically, it works fine. Then you need to create a service account. And just I'll show quickly. Uh, here, how can you do that? I have already created one. Just I'll create quickly one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is the one. And here you need to take the keys, and that's what basically README advises to do that. Once you create it, you get the credentials file in your system, and you are good to go. So basically from there, the file you got, you need to set it to your uh, this Google application credentials, which is given in documentation. If you see here, uh, here we just downloaded this file using keys, and this was the file, and this is the final step we need to do that. We need to just set it in our environment variable, and or every time you do that, either works for you, whichever works for you. Yeah. So once you do this, it's pretty simple. You need to execute this command, and it uh, runs smoothly. So here's the control I'm running. Just look up these controls.
Could you show
Yes.
us the controls that you wrote?
Yeah, sure. This is for compute instances. So here is the few attribute we are verifying, and as
Um,
Clinton was, yeah, go ahead, Clinton.
I don't see anything. I still see the README is what you're showing us.
No, I think I have changed my screen. Just let me. Should I reshare? Because I'm in different page from long. So let me. Yeah, it is stuck. I think I've shared
Well,
my.
let's see. Oh, here we
I,
go. Oh, no, right?
no, I have shared my entire screen. That should do. I'll reshare it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, Clinton.
There we go.
There we
Yeah.
go.
All right. So if we could walk through this a little bit, because this is the main focus of what the user was asking.
Mhm.
They wanted to see a profile. They wanted to ask the security questions. They understood that they had a resource pack, but they needed to ask the security questions. So here you're actually asking the security questions. So let's see what you're asking. So it looks like you're referring to compute instances, and it should exist. And there's
Service count scopes
mhm.
and metadata keys. We are validating metadata keys as well, and obviously the checking it exists or not. So these are the checks we are doing basically.
Okay.
Yeah. So you want me to go through with others as well, or this is fine?
This is fine.
Yeah. So these are the few. Uh, Basically, you can say that basically it doesn't, as Clinton said, it does not signifies some benchmark or anything else. Just queries you can put on, and yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have
This is a
already. Yeah.
this is a little more complex than it needs to be, I think, in that it pulls in an input. It doesn't
Yeah.
need to pull in an input at all.
Right. This is the
I
simpler one,
think.
if we honest.
Yes. It could be simplified a bit in that it doesn't have to pull in an input.
Yeah.
I would say perhaps um, using an input is a more sophisticated technique. Here's a simpler one I see.
Yes.
Good.
Okay.
So this is just
Okay.
Yes.
checking a region. That's nice.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So yeah. So let's. That's good. All right. So should we move on to the next question then?
Yes, Federico Sinisi. Hopefully, this answers your question. And if you have any follow-on questions, if you're viewing now live, you can definitely hit us up in the chat. Or if you have any follow-up questions on Slack, we will make sure to get to them. Let me. Hold on, let me get the next question. All right, the next question is from William Dower on Slack. Is there a way to disable InSpec's profile dependency caching? I see no backend. I see no backend cache for command caching, and vendor cache can change what directory is used for dependency caching, but I see no way to force InSpec to pull profiles from a remote repository every time if desired. What
Yeah.
say you, Clinton?
So the answer to that is is basically that InSpec, there's no way to disable the cache because InSpec relies on its cache internally. It actually fetches things to the cache and then reads from the cache to execute. So it relies on the cache internally to run. So we can't disable the cache. However, you could force it to clear the cache with every run. There is a command, inspec clear underscore cache, which clears the cache entirely. So you could simply perform a clear cache command before your inspec execute command, and that would forcibly clear the cache.
Okay, so there's the answer is no, but there's a workaround. Great.
I mean, yes, this would give you that effect. So yes,
Awesome.
yeah.
Great. Well, thank you for that, William Dower. Hopefully that answers your question. If you are viewing live and you have any follow-up questions, feel free to pop it in the chat. Otherwise, pop it in the community Slack. Final question for this session. Let's see. from WBY on Slack. I think we had another question from WBY last session, which is awesome. Thanks WBY for continuing to participate. WBY is going to open a bundle issue if there's no obvious reason for this, but when running bundle update or bundle install on a gem file containing the following, he's getting an error on, or he's getting a hang on resolving dependencies. Clinton, do you have any idea why this is happening?
Yes. So what's going on is we've traced the issue to a problem in the or it has been traced to a problem in one of the supporting libraries for Ruby gems, which is called PubGrub. It's one of the resolver libraries. So it's not anything we can do other than hope for an upstream fix. We're helping to provide any information we can at this point.
Oh,
But, yeah.
This is like a third party issue.
Yes, that's a third party issue.
Okay. All right. So then opening a bundler issue wouldn't help at all in this particular situation.
Right. That's old information at this point. A Ruby gems issue has been opened.
Gotcha.
He went ahead and opened a Ruby gems issue is what he did.
Got you. Okay. Sounds good. All right. Well, let's hope for that upstream fix to solve this issue. We do have a few more minutes if there are any other additional questions from the community or anything else from the team to share to the community. We've got a few extra minutes. Let me check Slack. I know that you all have
we have a
possibility of talking about the new release InSpec 6. So
yeah. Hey Nikita, would you like to do a brief InSpec parallel demo?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So
yay, Nikita.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I'll give some brief around that. Let me just share my screen.
So InSpec, I'll give a brief overview here. InSpec Parallel is basically a wrapper around InSpec exec, which allows you to, there we are. It allows you to run InSpec exec over multiple targets. You say how many targets at the same time. You provide an option file. The option file basically consists of a number of InSpec exec lines. You can provide different target lines. You can provide different command line options to it. You can provide all sorts of things. Nikita, take over.
Yeah. So like Clinton mentioned, like InSpec Parallel could be used for executing around multiple lines. But before this, I guess everyone is aware in this community, and I'll just go through quickly. Like when we use InSpec exec, what we does is we execute a profile, InSpec exec and the profile, and we use several options like -t for target and reporter options, whatever reporter we need, right? But with InSpec Parallel, you can do this thing all at the same time. Rather than running your profile one by one, you can do it all at the same time. So I'll just share the syntax and I'll show a quick demo that will help. Hope my screen is visible to everyone.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the syntax for InSpec Parallel. It's pretty simple, InSpec Parallel exec, just like InSpec exec, but we have added this parallel here because it's a new command we're introducing. You need to mention the profile that you intend to run in most of your nodes. And there are options like most important ones like -option file. This is a new option we are introducing with InSpec Parallel. we give, and then we provide the part of the option file. Now, what that is, I'll give a quick gist in a moment. Then you provide -j or hyphen jobs, which stands for how many nodes or how many parallel jobs you want to do at a time. So I'm going to do 4 jobs at a time here, for example. So, and this is my options file here, which I have passed here to this command. Now, how options file look like? I have configured it with 4 nodes running different profiles on different nodes. As you could see, it is using the existing inspect exec option, which this stands for target, and the reporter options. And I'm writing all of this output to a different file. Like the first one will get it into DPN output, and the second one, which is running on a Ubuntu instance, would get it into another file. And just like that, I've configured the 4 nodes and running different options to show how this is going to work. So I already have a pre-recorded video in this case, just so we are quick. So I'm gonna this video will demonstrate how inspect parallel execution is going to look like. So we could see there are 4 slots because I was running 4 instances, and this is happening all at the same time. I just want to repeat that. You can see the last slot is making progress, and the first one, the 2 and 3rd are really slow here. And all these numbers, which you could see, 2620, 21, and all these are process IDs, which are forked in the background by inspect parallel to make this work. Seems like the 1st and 4th got done, and 2nd and 3rd are really slow, so I'll just go forward. Now the 3rd made some progress, but seems like this also gives you an idea, like maybe one of the node is running really heavy profile and it's taking time to load, or maybe it's doing scanning, or it has not yet started scanning, so you can also debug around that. And I think 3 slots got done and the last one was remaining. I'll just go ahead. Okay, so now we can see when everything's got done by parallel, running all these 4 execution, it shows done at the end of it. And here you could see there are some log files and there are some output files, which we had configured in our options file. Like we would want the result of that run to be written somewhere, right? Because this is happening at the same time. So we'll have a look at that. You could see that the first run, this is the output, but with the test failing, test correctly running, and configuring system. And yep, these are 4 outputs for 4 different nodes. Then going ahead, there are some log files. A little bit about log files. It can give you an idea about what was the command that was run, at what time it was started, at what time it was ended. And it will give you an idea about how long it takes for a certain profile on a certain node, and information like that. So it has got 4 log files with the process ID for the 4 different runs that we had with parallel. And similarly for everything else. And it also contains all the options that InSpec usually contains, and it was running around with this. So these are not new, these are not the new options. All these options are InSpec exec options. And yep. That was a brief on running. If you want to know something more, maybe you can run inspect parallel exec help, and that will give you more information on different options and how you can use this. And yep, I hope you found this interesting, and maybe it would be useful for you to scale up your system whenever this is released.
Awesome. Any idea when we're going? Is this coming out with InSpec 6, right?
InSpec 6.
Okay.
We're currently saying late summer.
Got you. Look, I thought about finishing my question, and I'm like, wait, it's coming with InSpec. Don't make promises. Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much, Nikita, for that demo. Thank you, Clinton, Samir, and all the rest of the team for answering the questions. And thank you, community, for bringing the questions so we have content to stream. Hopefully everyone has found this helpful. If there are any follow-on questions, feel free to pop them in the community chat, or I do regularly go and look through questions on YouTube and Twitch. So if you are not a part of the community Slack, which you should be, just put it, or if it makes it easier to just put a inquiry in either the comments in YouTube or Twitch or LinkedIn, feel free to do that and we'll circle back. All right, team, thanks for joining us, and see you all in 5 weeks.